Welcome to Pasadena Monthly. I'm your host, Justin Chapman. After taking a look at what's been going on in Pasadena this past month, we'll speak with our guest, Dr. Thomas Rosenbaum, president of Caltech. But before we get started, let's check out these Pasadena media news briefs.
The Eaton fire has devastated many small businesses throughout Altadena, leaving owners facing significant challenges as they work to recover, relocate, and reopen. In response, the Pasadena Chamber of Commerce Foundation is actively raising funds to provide much-needed mini-grants to these affected businesses. These grants will help cover essential expenses such as purchasing computers and office equipment, installing phone and internet services, sanitizing and preparing new spaces, and addressing other urgent costs necessary to get their doors open again. Your donation can make a meaningful impact. By contributing, you directly support Altadena's small business owners in replacing critical equipment, establishing new workspaces, and restarting their operations. Now more than ever, it's important to stand with our neighbors in Altadena as they rebuild their livelihoods and restore economic vitality in the aftermath of the Eaton fire. Together, we can help bring hope and renewal to this resilient community. For questions, contact Paul Little at paul@pasadena-chamber.org.
The City of Pasadena has released a draft of its 2025 Local Hazard Mitigation Plan, or LHMP, which outlines strategies to reduce the risks posed by both natural and human-caused disasters, including earthquakes, wildfires, and flooding. The plan assesses potential impacts on the community and proposes long-term efforts to protect human life, property, and infrastructure, while also ensuring the city remains eligible for future federal mitigation funding. By participating in the review process, you can help refine the strategies and actions outlined in the plan, making sure they are practical, inclusive, and tailored to Pasadena's specific needs. Community members are invited to take part in a feedback survey on the draft. To access the feedback survey, visit bit.ly/LHMP survey. For questions or comments, contact Pasadena Emergency Services Manager Nayeli Procopio at preparedpasadena@cityofpasadena.net. The newly updated 2025 LHMP is available at bit.ly/Local Hazard Mitigation Plan 2025.
On June 5th, the Pasadena Rental Housing Board elected new leadership officers to support its mission of housing stability and fairness. Allison Henry, tenant representative from District 3, was elected chair, and Lourdes Gonzalez, an at-large member, was elected vice chair. Henry will serve through May 2029 and Gonzalez through May 2027. Henry brings extensive experience in housing and advocacy and co-authored Article 18 of the City Charter, which established the Rental Board and Registry. Gonzalez, a founding board member and local housing provider, brings a balanced perspective shaped by her public health work and landlord-tenant engagement. The board also recognized outgoing Chair Ryan Bell and Vice Chair Brandon Lamar for leading key milestones, including the launch of the Rental Stabilization Ordinance, rental registry, and a tenant protection ordinance following the Eaton fire. Top priorities moving forward include full rental registry compliance, improved petition procedures, expanded outreach, and stronger emergency housing responses. For more information, visit cityofpasadena.net.
Let's turn next to our lightning round of news updates. 1. The Altadena Town Council is back to meeting in person, and the U.S. Army Corps has completed debris removal in Altadena in what was the fastest residential wildfire cleanup in modern U.S. history. Restoration of the Altadena Golf Course, used by the EPA and Army Corps to process debris, is now underway. LA County officials said more than 1,300 rebuild applications have been submitted. We are officially in the recovery and rebuild phase. Sadly, another body was found, bringing the official death toll to 19, 18 of which were in West Altadena. Though a paper by the Journal of the American Medical Association argued that there were 440 more deaths in the weeks after the fire in LA County than usual, meaning the number of Eaton fire-related fatalities is likely much higher than 19. Also, the LA Times reported that vehicle data shows that just one fire truck was located in West Altadena during the blaze, while 64 trucks were in East Altadena. The Times also reported that a local research firm found nearly 1 in 5 Altadena residents believes LA County Fire deliberately let West Altadena burn. SoCal Edison announced that it is launching a wildfire recovery compensation program this fall which will offer direct payments and expedited claim resolution to individuals and businesses affected by the Eaton fire. Local attorneys, however, said the program is lacking in detail and designed to underpay survivors. SCE is also considering suing 9 public agencies that they argue are responsible for some of the fire damage, but haven't named which agencies. And an LA Superior Court judge set a trial date of January 25th, 2027 for many plaintiffs who accuse SCE of causing the fire. In Pasadena, the council unanimously voted to waive a wide range of fees for building permits, inspections, and more for eligible properties destroyed in the fire. 2. The Pasadena Unified School District Board of Education directed staff to draft a resolution that would allow the district to seek proposals from developers regarding the Linda Vista Elementary School campus, which has been vacant for nearly 20 years. The development would exist under a long-term joint occupancy agreement, and the school district would consult with the city of Pasadena about any needed zoning or entitlement changes. The Linda Vista Annandale Association held a community open forum last month to field feedback from nearby residents regarding what they'd like to see at the Linda Vista campus. Also, PUSD is set to recover more than $1.2 million in federal funding that the Trump administration had previously frozen. And PUSD said that soil testing and removal will not be completed at some of its campuses before school starts, so some areas will be fenced off. 3. The Pasadena Police Department reaffirmed that its officers do not participate in arrests or detentions based solely on immigration status, are prohibited from enforcing civil immigration law, will not honor civil detainers, and will only assist federal agents in cases of immediate safety threats, not in pre-planned operations. Also, the Trump administration asked the Supreme Court to lift a court order barring federal agents from making immigration arrests via raids after an appeals court upheld an LA federal judge's ruling that the raids were carried out without probable cause. They don't seem to be waiting, however, as a new raid was conducted on August 22nd at a Pasadena car wash where 7 workers were detained. 4. Oral arguments in the California Apartment Association's appeal lawsuit to overturn Measure H, Pasadena's rent control law that voters approved nearly 3 years ago, will take place next month. Also, Pasadena's Rental Housing Board set the 2025 to 26 landlord registration fee at $238 per rental unit. 5. The Pasadena Planning Commission approved a plan to transform North Lake Avenue in an effort modeled after the success of Old Pasadena. The plan will install a dedicated placemaker team to improve infrastructure, pedestrian accessibility, and streetscape aesthetics. The city is also considering similar plans for the Central District, East Colorado Boulevard, East Pasadena, Fair Oaks Orange Grove, Lamanda Park, Lincoln Avenue, South Fair Oaks, and West Gateway. 6. 2 local legends have passed away this month. Former Pasadena Mayor Bill Thompson and 710 freeway fighter Joanne Knuckles of South Pasadena. Thompson was Pasadena's 48th mayor from 1988 to 1990 and served on the council from 1981 to 97, during the time when Old Pasadena was transformed into a thriving business district, when 4 Super Bowls and the World Cup came to the Rose Bowl, and when the One Colorado project groundbreaking took place. Knuckles was in the trenches in the fight against the 710 freeway for decades, and recently advocated for traffic improvement measures in the 710 corridor and for fair treatment of the residential tenants living in Caltrans houses. 7. Pasadena Vice Mayor Jess Rivas announced that she's running for re-election to the Council District 5 seat. She wrote in her announcement that she remains committed to building a better future for the city despite worsening national and global conditions such as wars and climate disasters. And she condemned the recent actions of mass federal agents in Pasadena. 8. From 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturday, September 13th, Pasadena will host a 3rd community workshop on the ongoing Reconnecting Pasadena 710 Master Plan at Friendship Pasadena Church, 80 West Dayton Street. The workshop will give residents an opportunity to provide feedback and learn from a presentation about the latest project design options and a panel discussion featuring the project team. The consultants and staff will then continue to refine the plan. 9. The city committee that has been reviewing compensation and other benefits for Pasadena council members delivered a presentation to council this week, updating them on their work, following a meeting during which they asked staff to come back with a full list of options. The committee is reviewing monthly stipends, benefits, allowances, and reimbursements for Pasadena's elected officials, including potential family and child care benefits to make the council more accessible to working parents. And 10, I have to provide this update because last month on the show we had Doodah Parade czar Tom Costin, and we talked about how the parade will be taking place this November. Well, since then, the Lightbringer Project has announced that there will be no Doodah Parade in 2025. The next Pasadena Doodah Parade will take place on Sunday, November 22nd, 2026, in its original location in Old Pasadena. Citing this year's wildfires and concerns over possible cuts in education funding, Lightbringer Project, the parade's nonprofit producer, is making the decision in order to conserve financial resources and sustain the high quality of programs it delivers throughout the community. The organization is a significant provider of arts education to underserved youth. Let's welcome our guest, Dr. Thomas Rosenbaum, president of Caltech. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you, Justin, for having me.
Dr. Rosenbaum is a physicist and the 9th president of Caltech. He has led the university since 2014 and recently announced that he will retire at the end of this academic year, but plans to continue his research at his Caltech lab. His career has included research posts at Bell Laboratories, IBM's Watson Research Center, and the University of Chicago. So after more than a decade as president of Caltech, you're entering your final academic year leading the institution. What are your priorities for the year ahead? And when you officially retire next summer, what will you be focused on at your lab at Caltech?
Sure. It is a great time to be doing science, even though federal budgets are under pressure. And so my hope for Caltech during this last year is that we keep seizing the big opportunities. We keep that enthusiasm. There are incredible questions to be answered about whether there's life somewhere else in the universe, whether it's on planets orbiting other suns, whether it's on the rocks that we could bring back from Mars, not little green men, but microbial life.
Right.
We're in the midst of a second quantum revolution based on entanglement. We are having incredible new tools for biology and for medicine. And I hope that Caltech can continue to play in that fashion, pick the big problems and make progress. I'd say on the educational front, it's a little discouraging these days to hear about the attacks on science.
Yeah.
And I hope we can be a place that's committed to scientific inquiry, truth, the ability to make decisions based on data, and to inspire young people to follow that career and develop their quantitative skills in service of society.
And how is Caltech being impacted directly by the federal cuts?
Right. So we're very sensitive to federal funding, which is the biggest effect. We punch way above our weight in terms of the amount of federal funds flow that comes in, which is our commitment to excellence in terms of the people that we have. And so if the president's budget goes through, it's anywhere from 1/3 to 1/2 cut in the funds level. That's $100 million for us per year. More importantly, it's then the prevention of making the discoveries that make people's lives better.
Right, of course. And as you think about what's next for Caltech, what kind of president does Caltech need going forward? What skill set will they need? And then what are the most pressing issues they should focus on?
Right. Well, clearly we've talked about one of them, which is the current political environment. But Caltech will be here 100 years from now.
Yeah.
So one has to have the long view, maintain our values, make sure that we are a destination of choice for the most creative individuals in the world from every background and perspective. Stay focused, be fearless about attacking problems. So when people ask me what my job is, in a lot of ways, it's to develop and enhance the culture of Caltech, maintain the culture, a commitment to discovery, the excitement of interacting with lots of people with great ideas. And, you know, we're also a business, right? We have to be stewards of the resources that we're given, the government's investment, a private investment. And so somebody has to come in with this sort of combination of talents, I think, to be able to respond to the various constituencies, the students, the faculty, the staff, and also think about being a good leader, a CEO of what is a relatively large corporation.
Tell us a little bit about the early history of Caltech and how it advances its mission over 100 years later.
So it's a great story, and you probably know something because I know you're an amateur historian. So this was First Troop College. It was a vocational and preparatory school. And when George Ellery Hale came here, he had the vision that there was a nexus between science and technology, and that Troop should be the leader of this. And so it slimmed down, got rid of its vocational training, and went from 600 students to 27. Really remarkable. And committed itself to this notion that scientific endeavor could help the nation. Hale's view was somewhat broader, and he recruited Millikan and Noyes, who were partners in this. But his view was that Caltech could be the center of science, Mount Wilson, the telescopes, could be the center of technologies, and the Huntington could be history and literature. And we still see some of that in Pasadena, which has remarkable cultural attributes. So Caltech has built on that. So Regional Troop College, 1891, modern Caltech, 1920. And since then, we've just tried to push the boundaries and be committed to this notion that science can uncover mysteries and inspire people.
And something that maybe not everyone fully appreciates is that Caltech also manages JPL for NASA, which of course has been the leader in the U.S. rocketry program over the years, and robotic exploration of space and of our world and the environment. What's JPL's what's their success story? But also, talking about the federal cuts earlier, there's been cuts to certain research programs which have impacted JPL personnel. So what do you see as the approach forward for JPL?
Right. No, it's a great question. And in some ways a more difficult question, because like a hospital, JPL being subject to the whims of government funding is much more vulnerable. They basically one stream of investment in that fashion. And yet they've managed to attract these incredibly talented people. And as you know, incredibly talented people have choices. And so being able to keep the funding secure, at least at some reasonable level, is absolutely essential to create the environment where those individuals will want to stay, those scientists and engineers. The history is informative this way too, of course. Caltech not only manages NASA, it founded NASA in 1936 when scientists were shooting up rockets on campus, which didn't seem to be such a great idea. So they moved into the hills. And
the Suicide Squad.
The Suicide Squad, exactly right.
Aptly named.
And they, in fact, when Sputnik went up, the U.S. response to Sputnik was Explorer 1. That was a Caltech rocket. It was not a NASA rocket because NASA didn't exist. That was January of 1958, and NASA was founded in July of 1958, almost as a consequence. Explorer 1 was also the first scientific mission. It discovered the Van Allen radiation belts which surround the Earth. And so JPL was then given the choice at that time: become a centerpiece of human exploration or robotic exploration. And we chose robotic because that's where the science is. And think of it, we've sent robots to get bumper stickers from every planet in the universe, I wish, every planet in the solar system. We've sent now Voyager out of the solar system.
Incredible.
And we are learning things not only about the environment around us, because we also look at the development, change, and climate, for example, on the Earth, but we're learning about how to develop the technologies that extend humanity's reach across interstellar space.
Yeah, it's such interesting work over there. There's been so many interesting characters at Caltech over the years. Theodore von Karman, Frank Molina, Fritz Zwicky, even Frank Oppenheimer, Kip Thorne. There's so many interesting personalities. Who are some of the modern equivalents today? Whose work should we be watching?
Yeah, so this is like choosing between your children.
That's
you
true.
realize
That's
this is a bit of a problem. But
Let
me talk about Kip Thorne for a second, who I think is as close to an iconic figure in physics as there is. You know, had the vision for LIGO. And I say this the day after Ray Weiss, who shared the Nobel Prize with Barry Barish and Kip, passed away. Remarkable discovery, most sensitive instrument ever made. And now they're detecting black hole mergers once a week.
Wow.
So you are getting a glimpse into what Kip calls the warp side of the universe in ways that are just impossible to see. There's no electromagnetic radiation. So this is the only way you could do it.
Wow.
And Kip embodies that spirit, and he's actually mobbed by students when he's on campus, sort of thing. There are not a lot of scientists like that anymore. But there are scientists at Caltech who are just doing amazing things. I talked a little bit about the second quantum revolution. The person who is really defining that and articulating it is John Preskill on our faculty. Talk about vaccines and mRNA, which isn't so popular now, but is really our hope in terms of the next scourge and the next epidemic. And we have a biologist by the name of Pamela Bjorkman, who is working on a universal vaccine.
Wow.
We have lots of people in AI and machine learning now, of course, who are trying to understand how does that translate into understanding and doing science better. Can I give you a quick example?
Of course.
We have time.
Yep.
We have a scientist by the name of Zach Ross who has used machine learning to look at the record of earthquakes in Southern California. And he's increased by something like 100 or 1,000 the number of known earthquakes by picking out the signal from the noise using these routines. So now we have this incredibly dense map of what the Earth is like under Southern California.
Wow.
Probably won't help us predict earthquakes yet, but it'll tell you where to build and where not to build and how the Earth is moving and how it's structured. And this extends across the disciplines. So it's really, of course, we're future oriented. I say that as I'm stepping down. And I didn't answer your question about my lab, but I'm hoping to continue to be part of that future in the sense of looking at quantum mechanical effects.
Great. And I mentioned Frank Molina. I'd heard that there will be a new Frank Molina wing of an aerospace building. What's the status?
And what you will like particularly about this, and this is through a very generous donor by the name of Foster Stanbeck, Foster and Coco, is that this is the rocket club run by the students.
Wow.
And this will be the house now, if you will, for them to continue those explorations, to get their hands dirty, to build things. Hopefully not shoot up anything dangerous in the middle of campus. However.
Well, that's great. That's great to hear that that's continuing. And how can people get more involved in with Caltech? What kinds of events and programs are open to the public, and how can the community support Caltech's research?
Well, thank you. So one thing I'd say is if you believe in science and what it can do, both for expanding the domain of human knowledge and helping people, making the world a better place, let people know about your support. Let your representatives in the state and in Congress know about that. More specifically, we have a lot of public outreach. We have astronomy days where you can come and look at the stars. We have the Watson lectures, which go way back. And are key to individuals interested in science and engineering, but not necessarily experts. And we've tried to make that fun as a fair. We have something called the Caltech Science Exchange. So if you have questions about the safety of voting, about sustainability, about climate change, about quantum mechanics, go to our website, Science Exchange. And it is an endeavor to be factual, explain what we know, what we don't know, and where we're going.
Great. Well, there's so much interesting work happening at Caltech, and you've led the organization for over a decade. So thank you for everything you've done, and good luck with your lab going forward. And like you said, I hope we see Caltech here for another 100 plus years of Pasadena.
Thank you, and thank you for doing this. It's really a terrific community service.
Well, thank you. Thanks so much for coming.
Great.
Appreciate it. Before we go, here is this month in Pasadena history. Speaking of Caltech, it was this month in 2024 when Caltech announced that the incoming undergraduate class would comprise slightly more than 50% women. We're still waiting on stats about this year's class, but the class of 2028 is the first to reach gender parity since Caltech began admitting female undergraduates in 1970. And that was largely due to the influence of the Caltech president at that time, Harold Brown, who said that it would stimulate intellectual diversity. 4 women transferred to Caltech that year in 1970 and became the first to earn bachelor's degrees in 1973. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Pasadena Monthly. Tune in every fourth Friday of the month at 5 p.m. Learn more at pasadenamedia.org and justindouglaschapman.com. We'll see you next time.